Jerry and Esther had a very interesting experience recently. Someone brought them a book that was written in the 1930s. And Jerry read a bit of it to Esther as she was driving. And in the book, the author was talking about these fast-moving times. She was talking about how overwhelming her life was and how hard it was to keep up with. And Esther nearly drove the monster bus off the road. She had been dealing with internet situations and networking situations and new software situations and trying to integrate her peak program with operating system 10. She'd been talking to technical support. And here is a woman from the 1930s who is struggling to keep up with her leading edge place. And Esther said, "This is fascinating. When we're on the leading edge, we're always on the leading edge. The leading edge is always that unfamiliar place where we must bring ourselves into the place of feeling good, even in the unfamiliar place." It was shocking to Esther because she thought about what the 1930s must have been like in terms of technology. She thought of her own mother, who has the same mix master she's had since Esther was a girl. The same 10-key adding machine, the same electric typewriter. In other words, her life is not out of control. It's very much in control. It's boring, but it's very much in control. It is certainly not on the leading edge, you see. And then, as we chatted with Esther about it and with Jerry, we pointed out that this leading edge place where you stand is always reaching into that which is new and unfamiliar. But if your dominant intent is to feel good, then you're always ready for whatever is new and unfamiliar. Then the unfamiliar feels exhilarating and adventurous, not overwhelming, you see. And then Esther thought, I'll bet in the 1930s that woman and all of her progressive friends were rushing and working very hard every day trying to get it done. And then Esther thought, but they didn't get it done, did they? In other words, do you know how much has happened since 1930? Do you know how much they didn't get done? And doesn't that make all of her angst and worry that she was involved in back there seem sort of pointless? And doesn't it make all of your angst and worry about what you need to get done sort of pointless? Because, friends, you're not ever going to get it done. You don't get it done. It isn't here to be gotten done. These are not projects for you to use to prove yourself against. You're not supposed to get it done. The only reason that anything ever exists is for the fun of doing it. We don't care if you take the car apart and put it back together 100 times. Getting it done is not the prize. It's the process of playing with it, you see. And so when you start getting it, that life experience is about the experience of what you're doing with it now, how you feel as you think the thought, how you feel as you say the words, how you feel as you move the action, how you feel as you are focused in this moment. That's what life is. And if you're trying to get something done, we promise you that 100 years from now or 5 years from now or day after tomorrow, somebody's going to look at what you struggled to get done and they're going to say to you, you can't get it done. So we give this to you in an effort to get you to relax a little bit and start enjoying the journey, because this is a journey without end. And if you're waiting till the end of some journey before you reward yourself with some accomplishment, then you're barking up the wrong tree. Life isn't about getting it done. It's like the perpetual vacation of finding circumstances and events to amuse you and interest you and call you forward, but it is not about getting anything done. Good. How much time before we're done?
Hi, Abraham. I want to ask you about my son.
Yes.
I'd like to inspire him.
Yes.
But it looks like we're always batting heads.
Yes.
He just entered high school, and I don't want this battle about his grades and what school he's going to go to. And
then stop battling.
I don't know. I can't let go of it.
Why? You don't trust him to make good decisions?
I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out.
Well, if he's not allowed to make any decisions, how will he ever know if he has the ability to make any decisions? If he just goes along with what you think, then won't eventually he need to make some decisions on his own? At what point does he decide that he has the ability to choose? How old does he have to be?
Well, he'd rather play video games than study, or...
Well, wouldn't anybody?
Yeah.
The thing that we're trying to get you to feel just a little bit is that your experience has brought you a certain amount of wisdom that makes you maybe in a better place of making decisions. You sort of learned by trial and error, you see. But if you are not ever allowed to make any decisions, you never get good at making decisions. And your son won't either. And so children, his age especially, are in this sort of catch-22 where they don't have the experience to make good decisions, but you don't let them have their reign to make decisions to get the experience that they need to make good decisions. So what they hear from you is, you're not wise enough to make this decision, so let me make this decision for you. And they're thinking, and at what point do I begin to make decisions, you see?
Well, how do I let go of it then? How do I just say nothing about his homework, nothing about his grades?
But you see, you're trying to take the action journey, and that's hard.
It's not
Let's
working.
take the emotional journey for just a little bit. And you tell us, would you rather be proud of your son or frustrated and worried?
Proud.
So if that's true, then take that emotional journey with us right here and now. Make yourself proud with the words that you speak and the thoughts that you choose. See if you can shift, because it could go either way, because both are active within you. But right now, make yourself proud rather than worried. Do it now.
Well, I'm proud when I come home and he says, oh, I've done all my homework and I can do this, Mom. And
more detail.
And I really think he can do it. But maybe I want him to be better than he is.
Don't lose track of what we're asking. Make yourself proud right now. In other words, you're still trying to talk around it in other ways. Take the journey right now and activate proud in yourself rather than worried. You can do it. It's a bit of a reach because you've been beating a different drum, but it's close enough that we know you can do it. Make yourself proud right now. Take that journey.
I don't know if I can.
You see, what's happening is you want him to perform in a way that then you can observe and just feel proud. That's not inspiring him. We want you to feel proud of what you know he can do and then inspire the action from him that made you proud. We're answering this exactly in the way you ask it. So make yourself proud. That's your job.
Well, I'd be proud if I got home and he said he was going to stay in his honors classes and that he was doing great.
That's asking for other circumstances to which you can have a proud response.
I gotcha.
We're wanting you to induce the feeling of proud in yourself so that you can evoke from him a vibration that will make him feel good and inspire him. That was the question you asked. When you sat down, you said, I want to be someone that inspires. And the way you inspire is by being proud even before you have lots of reasons to be proud. Is there anything that he ever does that makes you feel proud? Or is there anything that he has ever done that made you feel proud? Or can you imagine him ever doing something that makes you feel proud? That's what you got to focus on to activate that vibration. And when you manage to take that emotional journey, you'll have a changed relationship with the person that you have been focusing upon. It is our promise to you.
Well, help me.
You want us to take your emotional journey?
No, I want you, well, yeah. I love him and I'm very proud of him, but I seem to focus on the things that I don't think he's doing right.
We know you want to love him and we know you want to be proud of him, but that's not the vibration that's most active within you. So what's happened is...
Well, how did I get so lost in this?
Because he behaved how he wanted to behave and you responded to his behavior, and now you're holding him responsible for the way you feel and you think he's got to change his behavior. You have this thing going on where you're saying, you need to change so I can feel better, and we're saying you've got to feel better so he can change.
Right. Well, maybe let me put it this way. I want to just let go of the whole thing.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. You don't want to stop loving him. You don't want to stop thinking about him. You want to let go of your resistance? Yes. So take this emotional journey and feel proud. That's what we're asking you to do right now. We're asking you to let go of worry and find a feeling of well-being. And you got to stop saying you can't do it, because you can do it. In other words, at least say, I want to do it. At least say, well, Abraham, I think I'd be more likely to do it here with you rooting for me. Well, Abraham, I think that if you're being proud of me about being proud of him, that maybe it would be easier for me to be proud of him. In other words, we're not for a moment believing that you can't do this. We know you can do this. And we want you to feel as determined about him doing things that will make him feel good in his life as we are determined that you can do things. But we're not going to do it for you any more than you can do it for him. So take the emotional journey. Get proud and do it now.
Well, I feel good when I think about him as the way he is, as the person that I see, the joy in him and the joy I feel when I'm with him.
Indeed. And what is that? What does that feel like when you're with him?
Well, it feels great.
Why?
I mean,
in what way?
Well, it feels peaceful, and it's the love that I've never felt for anyone else in my life.
Yes.
That I feel for him.
Yes.
And I guess
I'm proud of him because...
Well, he's so free.
Yes.
And I'm so fearful.
And I'm proud of him because...
He's teaching me things I know I need to listen to.
And I'm proud of him because...
He's his own person.
And I'm proud of him because... He exudes confidence, and he seems to know what he wants. And he doesn't buckle under pressure from anybody else. And he never asks for a feathered nest. And he maintains his vibration pretty darn well. And I anticipate wonderful things from him. And I'm sure that there have been a lot of people that are now majorly successful that were one time rebelling against the things that were being asked of them in school. In fact, there are volumes written, biography after biography, of people who dropped out of school and did all kinds of things, who are now, once they got hold of something they wanted, are really successful. I'm proud of him because he stays true to his own desires. And I'm proud of him because he keeps a clear idea on what he does want. And I'm proud of him that he continues to mostly love me and treat me with respect, even though I worry about him quite a bit. And I'm proud of him because he doesn't give me a hard time like a lot of other kids give their parents. In other words, I'm proud of him because he seems to have a sense of appreciation for me that even goes beyond what I sometimes deserve from time to time. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him. You are, aren't you?
Well, what's my payoff for this?
Your payoff is it feels better to be proud than worried. We really want you to hear this. And we love that you ask that very bold human question. What's in it for me? Our physical friends say, hey, Abraham, what's the purpose of life? And we say, joy. And they say, yeah, joy. But what about growth and all of that other stuff? We say, well, growth will happen, but the purpose of life is joy. And they say, but what's in it for me? And we say, joy? In other words, it just feels so much better to be proud than to be worried. And when you care so much about the way you feel that you're willing to make yourself, even though it was hard, it was hard. We know it was hard. But you made vibrational headway because we knew you could. And he'll make vibrational headway because you know he can, you see. We cannot focus upon the weaknesses of one another and evoke strengths. You cannot focus upon the things that you think he's doing wrong and evoke things that will make you feel better. In other words, you've got to beat the drum that makes you feel good when you beat it. And when you do, you'll be a strong signal of influence that will help him to reconnect with who he really is.
Thank you.